Hello! So today I am going to be talking about Kafka on the Shore by Haruki Murakami. So if you scroll back to some of my very early videos, I think it was one of the first sort of 5 videos I put out, I set myself a challenge because at that point I had never read any Haruki Murakami and I wanted to introduce myself. So I decided to pick 3 novels to read as a kind of introduction. And those novels were Norwegian Wood, 1Q84 and Kafka on the Shore. But I also, around that time as well, in a charity shop, found the Wind Up Bird Chronicle for around 10p. So because I was doing the whole challenge, I picked that up and sort of unofficially added it to the list. Norwegian Wood was good. I think at that time I gave it around 3 stars out of 5. But I didn't quite get the hype around it. I thought it was a good novel, but not quite this sort of cult classic that everyone made it out to be. The next novel was 1Q84. Now this is the novel that stopped me in my tracks. If you don't know, Murakami is not the best at writing women or writing sex scenes. They're just very cringy. And my main gripe with 1Q84, aside from it being incredibly bloated and unnecessarily long, was that one of the lead protagonists, she constantly talks about her breasts, the way they look, the size and the shape of them. Every single scene we have with her, or pretty much every single scene or chapter or moment we take with her, she will mention her breasts. And I just found it unnecessary. And the more it happened, the more it really annoyed me. And overall, yeah, I was just really annoyed with 1Q84 because it had some stuff in it that I thought was absolutely amazing. But overall, the way Murakami wrote women, his cringy sex scenes, the constant mentions of breasts in 1Q84, it just stopped me and I went to myself, I don't think I can read another Murakami book. So I stopped. I just stopped there and I didn't complete the challenge. However, I can't deny that Murakami's prose has stuck with me. I have made over 100 videos, if not more, since that initial challenge, and I can't stop thinking about his prose. It has stuck with me. It is so buttery smooth and delicious. The way he writes stories, the way the writing flows, it just wraps itself around you. It is really easy to sort of digest and just get lost in his writing. And that element has stayed with me. And I will admit that 1Q84 and Norwegian Wood both had lots of sections, lots of things within them that were massive ticks, lots of things within them that I thought were excellent. Which brings me to my current reading challenge. At the moment, I'm trying to read what I own. I'm trying to get through the massive backlog of books that I have. So I've decided to dive back into Murakami and finish the very first challenge I ever started on this channel. 2 Murakami books to go, both pretty surreal ones. Now, of course, I've finished Kafka on the Shore, that's what I'm talking about today, and I'm about halfway through Wind Up Bird Chronicle. Right, I am going to attempt to give you the basic plot beats of what this book is about. It is going to be hard, and I don't know if I'm going to do it justice, because I like to keep my videos shortish, and I think if I was to keep going and going and going, I would be talking for hours. However, yeah, it's hard to explain this book. It is incredibly surreal. It is really, really weird, beautifully weird, I would say. And it is subplot city. It goes off on these massive tangents, as Murakami's writing tends to do. We start with Kafka, a 15-year-old boy who has run away from home to escape his father's prophecy. We then meet Nakata, an elderly man with a mysterious past who has the unique ability to talk to cats, and he is about to embark on a journey. Whilst running away, Kafka takes refuge in a library in Takamatsu. It is there he befriends the enigmatic Oshima and the captivating Miss Seiki. Kafka becomes involved with a complex, and I mean a very weird and complex relationship with Miss Seiki, and it is also there that he starts to uncover dark secrets about his family's past. Kafka is confronting his own identity whilst grappling with the prophecy that drove him away from home. Now, if we jump to Nakata's journey, Nakata meets a man called Johnny Walker who is killing cats to build a magical flute. I know, I said it was weird. Nakata's journey sends him far and wide. It is extremely surreal and funny and really, really intriguing. He's searching for like a lost stone, but all of it starts with him searching for a lost cat. And as Nakata's journey progresses, he starts to discover these forgotten passages, these connections from his past. And finally, and I don't think this moment is a spoiler because the whole novel is sort of building towards it, he crosses paths with Kafka as they sort of both face their own destinies. I'm going to leave that there, but my lord, have I left out a lot. I've left out tons of side characters, tons of side plots, little kind of military stories that lead up to this weird thing in the forest that happens to these bunch of school children. There is a lot in this novel, and as mentioned, it would take me absolutely ages to talk about it all. But yeah, I'm going to sort of leave it there because I think that gives you enough to know kinda what this novel is about. Now, this novel is a real mystery box, and I'm not going to attempt to explain it to you. This isn't an explained video. There are many puzzle pieces to try and connect, many little tangents, loads of little nods here and there, and trying to figure out what it all means and how they all connect is part of the fun, but also you are left at times going, I don't think I'm ever going to be able to properly figure this out. The novel has a kind of open ending. It is a novel that is about the journey, not the destination. There are a certain amount of threads that I was able to keep on top of, a certain amount of threads that I felt like I had been able to put together that sort of made sense of the kind of connections of the disparate little subplots we had and where the two characters' journeys were heading. I kind of feel like I figured it out. However, because of how dense and vast this novel is, I do feel like there are a couple of puzzle pieces that might mean my theory is not correct, but I don't really care. I can't be bothered to go that deep because yeah, this is, as I said, this is a novel about the journey, not the destination, and whatever you can make of it, whatever you can philosophically piece together from it, and how it impacts you in that way, that's kind of what this novel is about. It's about your interpretation and how the journey makes you reflect on fate and time, just like it is the characters we're following. So, what did I like and what didn't I like? What I liked. I really enjoyed the themes within this novel. We have this kind of fate versus free will thing going on. The characters are struggling with this kind of predetermined destiny versus this sort of free will to shape their own futures. We have this theme around identity and memory, the idea of how the memory, the past of these characters is shaping the identity of the self and how that can be changed. I really love this sort of blend of dream and reality that's threaded throughout the entirety of the novel. The journey of the sort of subconscious mind that leads to these really like surreal and symbolic encounters throughout. I also really enjoyed its exploration of loneliness and connection. Both our lead protagonists, Kafka and Nakata, are alone. They are on their own, but they are seeking connection, not just with the world, but individual, personal connection in order to find themselves a little bit better. And I thought the novel sort of explored that theme really, really well. Of course, I really enjoyed the surreal and bizarre and weird narrative. It is constantly intriguing. It's a rich and imaginative story with these complex characters with complex motivations and relationships threaded throughout it. And of course, I just loved Murakami's signature writing style. It is just so good. The prose is evocative and vivid, and it really immerses you in the atmospheric settings. There's just a great blending of this very playful magical realism with this kind of mystery and psychological depth underneath it. I thought the two were working just so well together. And for the most part, Murakami does a skillful job of blending these disparate narrative threads together. I really enjoyed our two main protagonists. Now, this story sort of went on a bit of like, I was all in on Kafka to start, really intrigued by his journey, and Nakata was sort of just plodding along, and then it sort of does a switch, and then while Kafka's at the library, I sort of got, not bored, but like kind of was definitely more engaged with Nakata's story, and it kept doing this kind of like swapping across, in which one would really take my imagination, and the other one would sort of blend and keep things ticking along, and then the other would pick up. And it's not without moments where I was going, Kafka's story isn't really intriguing me right now compared to the other one, but they kept doing this switch all the way through. So yeah, both characters were really enjoyable to read and really brought something to the story. I also loved engaging with Japanese culture, the sort of mythology and history of Japan that sort of weaves itself into the novel. And finally, we can't leave him out. I absolutely loved Colonel Sanders, the KFC Kentucky Fried Chicken guy. And if you know, you know. What didn't I like? I'll get it out of the way. This book still has some of the things that Murakami does that I just don't enjoy. It still had some pointless, weird sex scenes. The moment Kafka gets a handy out of nowhere was just bizarre to me. So Kafka meets this girl on a bus, a stranger. They sort of connect, and then a little time passes and Kafka is in a situation in which he needs help. He rings her up, she comes to his aid, and he goes back to her apartment. And they're sort of chatting and getting to know each other, and clearly there's a connection there between the two, and she keeps telling him she feels this connection with him as if he's her brother, and she wants to sort of look after him like a brother. And then, out of nowhere, for some reason, even though she says she has this sibling love towards him, she invites him into her bed. Now, obviously, the factors that are happening within this scene do have something to do with the kind of prophecy and destiny that has been placed upon Kafka, but let's forget about that for now. She sort of invites him into her bed, and just so that he's not sleeping on the floor, so he has a sort of bed to lie in, and they do have this sort of connection. And then she starts telling him, I'm not going to have sex with you. I have a boyfriend who lives a little way away, but I have a boyfriend and I'm connected with him and I like him. I'm not going to have sex with you. And you're thinking, yeah, because the connection she has with him is a kind of brotherly love. And then out of nowhere, she just, she notices he has an erection and she's just like, oh, I'll just give you a hand job. Because why not? And I don't know. Now, even if this moment is fulfilling some sort of prophecy or destiny that's woven into the narrative, it just, for me, I was just like, what? Why? Why has she just started giving him a hand job? She's just told him she thinks of him as a brother. She's just told him, that she has a boyfriend. She doesn't want to have sex with him. She has a boyfriend. And even if destiny is driving it, okay, the way it is set up and the way it is built towards it is just lazy, if that's what it's trying to do. If it is trying to highlight some sort of prophecy, then it's just pointless. With that being said, I do think out of the 3 Murakami books I have now read, this one has the least amount of weird, male-gazy, sex, females being obsessed with their bodies kind of stuff. Now, it might be because the 2 protagonists are male, but yeah, it's still in there. It is still in there. It's woven all throughout, but I think it has the least amount compared to Norwegian Wood and 1Q84, so it's got that in its favour. And after that, I actually only have one other dislike. There's these kind of occasions of repetition that lead to a sort of redundancy of narrative build. It just felt a little bloated and a little repetitive in a few moments. And there are a few sections throughout this novel where I just wanted to give it a bit of a kick up the bum. But that's it. That's it, really. I will admit that, there are sections and chapters I enjoyed a lot more than others, stories and journeys that I really wanted to get back to, but that doesn't necessarily mean I wasn't engaged at any point. So, yeah, but that's it. Not many dislikes for this one. I actually really enjoyed this one. Maybe all I needed to do was take a break for a year or so from Murakami before diving back into another one. I said in my 1Q84 video, if that video, which is over 1,000 pages long, if that novel had been around 500-600 pages long, got rid of all the fat, I think I would have loved it. I think it would have been great. There's moments in 1Q84 in the hotel that just go on and on and on for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pages. And it's just like boring and repeating itself over and over again. There's nothing engaging about it. This novel feels a bit like sort of like 1Q84, but without any of that fat. It's stripped right back. And I think that's why I really enjoyed it. I absolutely love the writing style of this novel. Of course I did. It's Murakami. It is constantly intriguing and beautifully weird and philosophical. And I'm going to give it 4 stars out of 5. I thought it was excellent. Have you read this book? And if so, what did you think about it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Please let me know in the comments below. And as I asked in my last sort of Murakami videos way back when, what is your kind of ranking? If you've read a lot of Murakami, what is the order that you put them in? What is your favourite? What is your least favourite? Please let me know in the comments below. As always, I want to thank you so much for watching. I hope you're well, and I'll see you all on the next one.